Hello. In this video, we will understand the concept of WAF, that is Web Application Firewall. What are its nitty-gritties? How is it different from the network firewall, which we have in most of the infrastructure, especially the corporates? What are the attack types that are addressed by WAF? And finally, key vendors which are providing either cloud-based or on-premise appliance-based WAF solutions to the organizations and customers. So here we start. In this slide, we have two components here. So on the top is the internet, which is unsecured setup, that is from where the users, the hackers can use the services or reach the servers on which the application is hosted, and this server, this application is in the demilitarized zone for the company A. Now, let's say a scenario where a hacker attacks the application server. Now, the security team has implemented the network firewall also here, DDoS also. Everything has been implemented. In fact, access control is put into to place, access list, put prefix list, everything. But still, that communication, since it is HTTP based communication, it is able to reach that application and then input a SQL injection in the HTTP header. So because of this, the system is compromised, and most importantly, it is the problem for the security security team, how to make sure that in spite of so many security walls in place, the server has still been compromised. This is where WAF comes into picture. WAF makes sure that attacks like SQL injection is there, cross-site scripting is there, DDoS attack, zero-day exploits, or command injections. All these type of attacks, which are layer 7, especially web-based attacks, are taken care by the web application firewall. Well, in continuation to our last slide, this is an exposition where the network firewall is helpful, where the WAF is helpful, and how the legitimate user traffic can be allowed to pass through and access the web applications which are hosted in the DMZ zone. But it's important to inform that DMZ zone is a specialized zone which is specifically for the internet facing communication. So we have secured users who are sitting here while the internet facing web portals are in a demilitarized zone. Moving ahead, now let's say we have non-web attack. And these are attacks like IP spoofing, port scanning, SSH, RDP, maybe malware distribution, which are non-web attacks and which are more or less for the protection of FTP, SNTP, and FTP, which are stopped by the network firewall itself, and this traffic is not allowed to move further. However, when we look at web attacks, as we earlier discussed about SQL injection, cross-site scripting, zero-day exploits, that type of web attack in the HTTP or HTTP header are not controlled, or basically they cannot be stopped by the network firewall, and it can harm the application. And this is where web application stops these type of attacks based upon their anomaly, their signature, and related algorithms that the web application firewall can find, and hence these type of illegitimate web attacks from the internet can be stopped. But the legitimate users can easily communicate with the web application because WAF has seen and the network firewall has seen that this is a legitimate traffic which can be allowed to go. So any opportunity to compromise the system is dwindled, and only legitimate communication is allowed to go through the web application firewall and the network firewall. This is a slide about the key attacks which are countered by the WAF, and the network firewall is not able to stop them. So WAF is tailor-made in order to address these type of attacks. So quickly going through them: SQL injection, cross-site scripting, CSRF, which is basically cross-site request forgery, then RFI and LFI, DOS, DDoS, zero-day exploits, HTTP flooding, brute force attacks, data exfiltration, command injection, and web scraping are few of the attacks for which WAF is expert and has that proficiency to address all those type of the vulnerabilities that can compromise the system. Moving on, WAF key vendors. So there are key vendors across cloud and appliance-based solutions which are deployed in different rather locations in different cloud formats or on-premise formats in order to address the type of customer requirement. In that case, we'll start with the AWS VF, which is basically a cloud-based offering, and it is fully integratable with AWS services like CloudFront, application, load balancer, API gateway, and others. Next is the Azure WAF, which is again a cloud offering and it is designed for Azure hosted applications with integration with Azure Front Door and Azure Application Gateway. Also, it is easy to manage and configure. Next is the Google Cloud Armor, and it is again a cloud-based offering which is tailored for applications hosted in Google Cloud Platform. Next is the Cloudflare WAF, and this is again cloud-based offering with simple to deploy type of setup, and it is robust for plan of small applications also, which are basically free. Moving on to the on-premise and appliance-based solutions, the first one is the F5 Big IP Advanced WAF, and it is responsible for exceptional support for encrypted traffic inspection. Also, it supports hybrid environments. Lastly, we have Fortinet FortiWeb, which again is on-premise and it uses machine learning to analyze and detect anomaly. Also, it supports multi-cloud environments. That takes us to the end of the presentation. Hope you like it. Thank you.